while asleep. I dream of eating sheep. It's so strange just how your brain works all the time. I'm forgetting more and more. Find my key still in the door, but I remember Neil in '69. Hard to get to sleep when you're counting roasted sheep. The more you try, the harder that it gets. And when I fall asleep, I dream of happy sheep, till I see that she's the shepherdess. So it seems my memory only works selectively. I wish it would remember to forget, not remember that I can't, or remind me that I shan't ever learn to get her out my head. Ever forgetting me.
And there is song number 1 on today's broadcast. Let's go to Ian, find out what he thinks about song number 1 today. Ian, what do you think?
I think this is... I'm with the chat room. Did he just say counting roasted sheep?
Yes, he did.
Fantastic. I mean, yeah, there's some. This just got me baffled a little bit, to be honest. This is a nice little tune, maybe a children's tune, not quite sure. Not a lot to it, but I kind of like the simplicity of it. The acoustic was very well performed. I did like the tone, although I did feel it was a little bit sharp, not in the tuning but in the actual EQ, and also a tad dominating to the mix. I would like to a bit more lullaby-ish on that, rather than being so hard on the picking. The voice, I liked his voice. It had a very Beatlesque sort of sound to his voice, and the melody, I thought. There was an arrangement there. I would have liked to hear more. Really didn't like the synth. Those synth strings, it sounds like an out-of-the-box sound, something from GarageBand or Logic or something like that. And what I really would like to hear on here would some real strings, a cello, just giving an underlying sort of bass tone sitting in there. You really could have done more on the instrumentation on this and built it up a little bit. I mean, lyrically, there's something going on. I mean, he's obviously talking about fancying a shepherdess, so it's all about a girl again. But it's also all about roasted sheep, whether he's spending a night in a carvery or something, I'm not too sure. But, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, is it commercial? Well, probably not, but it's a lovely little song. And, you know, the way it dropped down with that heavy reverbs and delays and stuff on the chorus was nice. Did feel the vocal got a little bit lost in there. But yeah, there's something about this that's really, really charming.
All right, Ian, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir. And Mr. Tom Chianti, your thoughts?
I agree with Ian. Lyrically, it's very, very interesting, and it's a nice, simple tune. The acoustic was played very well. His voice, though, really dropped down a lot in the chorus. Too much so for me. And I actually didn't mind the synth strings. They added the underlying tone that Ian was speaking of, like maybe a cello. Cello probably would have been better, or a string quartet. But a little too wet in the vocal. But definitely interesting and charming, as he said. It could be a nice little lullaby with a little change in lyrics, or it was just very interesting. And then, lyrically, it caught me right away. So I liked it.
Okay, Tom, I thank you very much. And Mr. Mark Lamdnaski, co-owner of ButterfliesRadio.com. What do you think?
That was really cute. I actually enjoyed that song. I just kept picturing Kermit the Frog singing it, though. I don't know. I kept picturing the Muppets and Kermit sitting up in the spotlight, just down on him singing. And Ian stating it might be a good children's song. I agree with that wholeheartedly. It was really good. The synth strings, I would have liked it a lot better if it actually sounded more like strings and less like synth. But I really enjoyed it. It's a song I would like to play for my daughter, actually, see what she thinks about it. It's not a commercial song. It's not a song that I would put on our station unless we had, Children's Hour or Muppets Hour or whatever. But
Phenomena.
Yeah. Overall, though, it was really good, and I would listen to it again, and then with the kids in the room, and I bet my son would have a really big laugh at the counting roasted sheep line. That I thought that was really cute, but good song. I like it. Good job.
All right.
Mark, I really want to see that. I want to see Kermit the Frog sat there with his little acoustic guitar and the Swedish chef cooking Muppet sheep and throwing them over a fence for him to count. That would just be classic.
I've got to ask this question, though. If Kermit the Frog were singing it, don't you think rather than sheep it would have been pork?
No, he loves Miss Piggy. Let's not get into this debate again. It's like that playground thing they have. He loves her, man.
Just asking. I thought I would figure that out. All right, that song is called Forget Her Out of My Head by Keith Fellows. Keith Fellows, we appreciate your sending that song into Music Scene Investigation. All right, gentlemen, the last task I have for you today is the Song of the Week selection. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I'll let you guys make a decision on this. Discuss it amongst yourselves, but please, no fighting.
Well, meh. I mean, I keep coming back to the sheep. I really do. I mean, the second track, well performed, badly produced and mixed, and the vocals just not there. This one, really loose, needs a lot of attention, even though there's a good song there. I mean, if we're looking at the best package this week, at least number one is kind of probably the best mixed for what it is, and the best performed for what it is. And it's interesting. But, it's kind of a bit of a left-of-centre choice for a Song of the Week on MSI compared to what we normally sort of select.
Mark? Tom?
I understand where Ian is coming from. And as you all know, I look at it from a perspective of would I or would I not play this on a station? Is it commercially viable? You know, I really liked song number one, but it's not a song that I think has a commercial potential, unless it's going to be, you know, for a kids show. It's got that kind of a feel to it. Song number two, you know, it has potential, but I think that of the three, and this is again from my perspective, I think that number three had the most potential for commercial viability. For as far as the songwriting is concerned, the lyric writing, the performance wasn't terrific, and the recording mix wasn't terrific. But I'm going to have to go with song number three on this one.
All right, and that leaves it up to you, Tom.
Why?
I haven't actually made a selection yet. I was throwing it out there. I'm waiting to hear what the boys have to say before I choose.
That wasn't the impression I had, Ian. But okay, we'll go with that.
No, I was just discussing what was on my mind.
I see.
Oh, backtracking there.
No, not at all.
I actually will go with number one. Even though Mark said it's not a song he'd put in rotation, he did mention that there is a market for it. And there certainly is if it were just tweaked. The other two songs, there's too much work needed to be done on them. And number one just sticks with me is a lighthearted, fun lyrical song. You know, number two was too hard to hear the vocal, and number three was just, the mix was just totally just disjointed to me. There was too many clashes and whatever. Whether there's a song there or not, I don't think it's topical. So I would have to go with number one.
All right, so then we have one vote for number one, one vote for number three, and now we'll throw it back to Ian so he can consider.
Well, I think in that case, Tom's won me over. But number one.
Okay. So there you have it. Split decision from our panelist. Song number one, Forget Her Out of My Head, by Keith Fellows, is our song of the week. Gentlemen, as always, a big thanks to you. Mark, love having you on. I'll try and call you on your cell phone next time. How's that?
By all means, you should feel free to call me anytime, and especially before hit list. So I remember to put that on too.
Hey guys, I've got an idea. Next hit list, right? Let's make this song the winner by default. That way, Mark has to put it on his station with Keeper.
Now, you know, we can't do that on purpose, but if it happens to win, it wins. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us today, especially you, Mark, and everybody out in our audience as well. So, Mark, Twitter Tuesday this coming week, who's going to be on the show with you guys?
Oh, we have a return guest this week, the lovely and beautiful and gorgeous, and talented Melissa Van Fleet. She's got a new album out, and we're pleased to have some of her songs on the station, and she'll be our guest this week, and we're really looking forward to having her back. The last time she was on the show, she was talking to us on her iPhone through Wi-Fi at McDonald's. So for a full 2 hours, she sat outside McDonald's using their Wi-Fi.
That's amazing. I mean, these days, you got to wonder, why didn't the security come out and run her off? But thank goodness they didn't, you know.
They were loving it.
All right. So we appreciate it, Mark. Make sure you tune in to Twitter Tuesday Live this Tuesday, 8 p.m., butterfliesradio.com, and show up in Twitter. Give them a shout-out, at All Indie. They'll give you a shout-out on the air as well. Now, I want to thank you guys for being with us once again. We're going to play out with song number one after we throw it over to Ian and find out what he has to say for next week. Ian?
Who's our guest next week, Rich?
Our guest next week is whoever you're going to tell me it is.
It's Tom Oswald of Acoustic Spectrum and Red Dragon Records. who sat on with us a couple of months ago, and it'll be good to have him back.
Yes, it will. It'll be great to have them back. So we'll.
Can I ask you? Have you rescheduled Carol yet?
We have, but she doesn't remember it.
Oh, okay. Because I've forgotten.
Can you remind her?
I'll remind. Wait a minute. If she reminds me to remind her, I will be happy to do so.
All right. Sounds perfectly good. It sounds like a plan to me. All right. We're going to play out with Forget Her Out of My Head by Keith Fellows as this song of the week. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you again next time right here on Music Scene Investigation.
Bye.
Bye.